thinking all the way back to the beginning of memoir, we talked about all of the different things that memoirs can include. And we talked about the craft moves that they should include, but we haven't really talked about the structure yet. Memoirs are built up of two main pieces: stories from our life, specific memories or events, and reflections on issues in the world around us and whatever themes are popping up in our stories. And so you can see that there are a whole bunch of different ways that we can really structure our memoirs and put those two pieces together. And we have to think about how that's going to fit with the craft moves that we're using, but also how it's going to fit with our audience and our structure and our purpose and how all these things relate. Okay? I'm going to show you how to do that really quickly today. First, we're going to look at a mentor text. And when I'm looking through this, I'm just going to skim through it. I'm not reading it. I'm noticing at the very beginning of this memoir, she's saying, "I pretty ever black, or my mother said, even if the skin was dark, you're so black, da da da, she's been ridiculed, da da da." She's really just explaining some family and characters, giving some background information. So now we're going to keep going. The attic room reeks of smoke and the stink of split beer rides its back. The raggedy linoleum floor is littered with cigarette. Okay, this seems more specific. So if I were to say what this is it more of a specific memory, or is this more of a reflection on problems in the world? Right, it's exactly right. It's more of a specific memory. So now I'm going to scroll. Okay, oh, and I'm noticing that this like one line paragraph, huge, right? Acts as a transition. And that transition, one sentence paragraph, one word, basically, it transitions into, okay, all of this here. Okay, that all looks like she's just kind of reflecting on her relationship with Pete, telling me about a story, not a specific memory, and maybe not a specific issue, but reflecting on her friendship with this person or like who he was. Let's see. Did I know the difference between right and wrong? I did, but back then, da 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 da. Okay, wow. She seems like she's kind of fast forwarding through her life, but keeping it all tied to one specific theme. So it's like knowing right and wrong. I was more interested in scoring junk food than in my behavior was wrong. Live by the die. My victim didn't die from my wounds. I was convicted of assault. So she's talking about the problem that's going to land her in the rest of this memoir. Let's see, next section. Prison is not a nice place. There's depression here and danger and disease. What is this? Is this more of a reflection or is this more of a story? Yeah, it's more of a reflection on a specific issue in or a specific topic that's coming up a lot. And then I noticed that she kind of ends this part with another specific memory as an introduction to the rest of the story. So thinking now, what can I add into my memoir? And what can I really think? And the first thing that I noticed was sorry, I'm just fixing my typo. I have over here my outline from before, and I started with a story of my grandfather, I mean a specific memory. And then I went into some of my details, like some of my own ideas and reflections about politics in the 2020 election. And then I finally finished up with like another story from my life that relates. So if I'm thinking about what's really going to get this big idea across, adding a flash forward or flash back, like another story, adding some more information or topics or ideas about these things, adding some reflections about what I've learned, or weaving a symbol in, I think I might add in some information, and you can see I kind of already filled it in. I'm going to specifically add in information about the 2020 election. And I'm going to include some facts and statistics. I may need to do some research, but that'll be easy. And I'm also just going to include maybe some of the like backstory of 2016 election so people have some background. That way, when I introduce my reader and I grab them with the hook about who I am, but then I give them the information that they need. What do you think? You only have to include one, but what do you think is another element that I could include to really get this piece across? Could I include a flashback? Could I include some more reflections about what I'm learning through these stories? Or could I try weaving a symbol in? What will get this big idea across the most?